When preparing your scale etude for MMEA, make sure you're first and foremost striving for accuracy of notes. In order, we've got F major, D melodic minor, G major, E melodic minor, and a 3-octave chromatic scale. In each scale, if you have to write in the accidentals to be accurate, go for it. Writing in your part to increase accuracy is never a sign of a bad musician. It's actually a very professional mindset. MMEA has specifically provided a goal tempo, half note equals 88. Keyword, goal. This means you should strive to play the etude at this tempo for your audition, but you should always start where you're comfortable and work up the tempo as you practice regularly. If you find you're making a lot of mistakes at a faster tempo, that usually means you have to take a step back and work out what you need at a slower tempo. At this tempo, 88 in a 2-feel, make sure you're not holding the half note at the end of each scale too long and cutting off the rest. Give yourself time to breathe and prep for the next scale. Let's look at the most challenging part of this etude, measure 30. The chromatic scale descends to low B flat and changes articulation at the same time. I would suggest first making sure you're playing the entire etude at a solid mezzo forte dynamic or louder. This will support every single note's ability to speak clearly. When you descend to the low register in measure 30, crescendo to that low B flat to help yourself out. I would practice this by dividing the measure into 2 parts. The first 5 notes, D to B flat, and the next 5 notes, B flat to D. Start by slurring all the notes to get the B flat to speak. Then add the tongue on the low B flat. Then the second section will be tongued B flat to the D. If you're having trouble with these notes speaking, try it slurred first. Then apply the same air you used for the slur to support the tongue. It's all about air support when we maneuver any music in the lower register. When I first looked at the tempo requirements for the lyrical etude set by MMEA, I knew exactly what they were looking for. Strive for playing this etude musically at a very consistently slow tempo without rushing, and your audition will be very impressive. After the tempo, the most important aspect of this etude is the dynamics and espressivo quality, which kind of go hand in hand. Whenever you see espressivo in music, it generally means that it's your solo. You can do whatever you want with it in the hopes that it stays true to the notes on the page and manages to evoke emotion in at least one listener in the room. Espressivo in this etude is highly connected to shaping the phrasing with dynamics. You can see there aren't many dynamics written for you, so it really is up to you to shape the phrase. Here's my suggestion. I would start the beginning at a comfortable mezzo forte. Every time you see a specific dynamic written with no crescendo or decrescendos immediately after, stay true to that dynamic for that time. The biggest takeaway, though, is to make each dynamic relative to each other. A lot of bassoonists tend to play piano or pianissimo to the point where it sounds muffled and very sharp. That's not the goal. Usually, if you have to pinch this much to get a soft sound, it means that your loud dynamics aren't loud enough to contrast with the soft dynamics. In this etude, make the 8 measures from the piano F on beat 4 until the forte A on beat 4 as gradual of a build as you possibly can, as if you're drawing a dynamic arc over those 8 measures so you know exactly where you're going. Then extend that dynamic feel the next 4 bars to a fortissimo dynamic on the middle D, so you have enough room to contrast with that pianissimo at the end. Make sure you observe the ritardando at the end and that the last D doesn't ride too sharp. Once again, we have a tempo range given by MMEA. This is another one, like the scale etude, that you're going to want to practice at a comfortable tempo, then work up over time. When I say start practicing at a comfortable tempo, I mean play through it a few times for your notes and rhythms where you can absolutely get 100% accuracy. Then find that tempo on your metronome and play with it to keep it in time. As you feel more and more comfortable with playing the etude, challenge yourself to move the tempo up 5 clicks at a time until you hit your goal tempo. This is a good technique for any audition repertoire. When the committee can't see you, it's even more important to stay in a steady tempo so that the judges can understand exactly what you're playing. Also, you don't have to take the repeat in this etude. My reasoning behind this is partially because most teachers don't ask for repeats in the Weissenborn, and also because the excerpt asked by MMEA is only 16 measures long. If you add in the repeat, it becomes unbalanced, playing one half twice and not the other half. A few tips for this one. First, use venting as much as possible. Here's looking at you, measure 11. You will absolutely need to vent the high A to play this with any kind of fluidity and ease. Second, make sure you observe the staccatissimo marking. In this case, they should act as accents, not as short as possible, since the music goes by so fast. Weissenborn probably placed them here to emphasize his use of internal meter changes without actually changing the meter. You'll feel in measure 11 that he switches from a 2 to a 3 feel, and right back, just to keep you on your toes. So emphasize it whenever you have a 2 feel so that you have an anchor to latch onto. Always keep the 8th note pulse constant. Finally, a suggestion for your practice. This etude features a lot of different fingering combinations in a short amount of time. Half holes, venting, thumb keys. A good way to make sure you're practicing in a way that promotes speaking accuracy with these fingerings is to practice the fingerings in tempo without playing on the reed. Sing through the excerpt and play this etude very slowly in only your fingers, making sure all your fingers move at exactly the same time. Then, add in playing on the reed at the same tempo to make sure your fingering precision is on point for what you hear. Sometimes this technique helps us realize habits, like using the wrong fingering, forgetting our left pinky, or not doing enough half hole. Again, write in what you need to get your best performance. If you liked what you heard today, consider taking lessons with me. I'm based out of Bloomington, and I'm planning on teaching in person in the fall. I do travel to 4 different universities in Minnesota and Iowa, and I teach at multiple high schools and out of my home in Bloomington. I also teach monthly read classes and offer online options. Feel free to contact me or leave a comment if you'd like to get in touch.